Section 4.1 Decimals. In this section and all sections moving forward, you will be often asked to round your answers. Therefore, we need to review the place values not only for the whole numbers, but especially for the decimal values. So as before, when we were doing whole numbers, we didn't see the decimal point. It was implied to be at the end of a whole number. And so as before, the first number to the left of the decimal is the ones, followed by the tens, followed by the hundreds. Now to the right of the decimal point, it's a little bit different. The first value to the right of the decimal point is the tenths. Okay, and again, be careful. It looks very much like tens, except it has this th. Okay, so you got to be real careful when you read a problem that you don't do tens or tenths in the wrong order. Following that is hundredths. Again, notice the spelling. Followed by thousandths. Again, the spelling, and it would continue with powers of 10 and so forth. So just be careful, because the first place to the right is the tenths, but tens are two places to the left. So just be careful. When you read a decimal, what is common and is incorrect technically is to read this as 12.3. Now, everybody knows what you mean when you say 12.3, but technically that is not correct. You want to read this as the whole number, in this case the 12, and then the decimal point is the and. I'll put a little dot there for the decimal point, and then you read the number that follows the decimal point, followed by the place value of the last digit. So in this case, 12 is the whole, and this is in the tenths position, so it would be 3/10. 12 and 3/10. And we do this all the time on a check. If you've written a check, here you write the amount, and then you have to spell the amount, and so of course 1,542, and then on a check where the decimal point is, you write the word and then following that you write the number over its place value. In this case, our money system is always to the penny, which is the hundredths place, and so very common, if you write a check, you do this all the time. So when you write a decimal, it's a little bit easier. So 6 is the whole number. The decimal is referenced by the and, so 6 and, so there's the decimal point, 25 hundredths. Okay, so the 25, the 5 has to be in the hundredths place, which it is. So this will be written as 6 and 25 1/100ths. Again, there's the hundredths. 7/10. Okay, so there's no wholes, and by convention you do want to put the 0 there, followed by the decimal point, and then the first place value after the decimal is the tenths, so you have 7/10. Okay, in this section you'll be asked to identify numbers in certain place values. So again, be very careful to read the question. Okay, what number is in the hundreds? Okay, hundreds is to the left of the decimal point. Ones, tens, hundreds. So the 4 is in the hundreds place. You may be then asked to identify what number is in the hundredths. Again, read carefully. Hundredths, well, after the decimal point you have tenths, hundredths. So the 9 is in the hundredths place. And finally, in this section, you're going to have to write a decimal as a fraction or a mixed number. So it's important you read the question to make sure that you answer the question being asked. So in this particular example, you have 0 and 4/10, or you would just call this 4/10. So you take the number that you see after the decimal point, that is going to be the numerator, and it'll be over whatever the place value is of the last digit. In this case, this is in the tenths place, so you go ahead and write that as the denominator, and as always you have to reduce your fraction to lowest form, These are even numbers, and so when we reduce it, it reduces to 2/5. If you type in 4/10, it will warn you that although your answer is correct, it is not reduced. So always reduce your answer. In this example, again, there's no whole number, so we'll just start with the fraction. The number after the decimal point is 15, so that will be the numerator. The denominator is going to be the place value of the last digit. In this case, the 5 is in the hundredths place, so it will be over 100. And if we divide both by 5, this would reduce to 3/20. Likewise, notice that we have this 0 here, so we still proceed as before. Let me kind of do it out here where there's a little bit more room. The 17 is the number that follows the decimal point. Now notice that the place value of the 7, well, that's tenths, hundredths, thousandths. So in this case, you have to put it over 1,000. 17 is a prime number, so nothing is going to simplify it except 17. 1,000 is not divisible by 17, and so that would be your answer in lowest form. Here we introduce the whole number component, and we leave it as a whole number, so the 3 would be repeated, and then we do the same process we did for anything after the decimal point. The number is 41 over its place value of the last digit, which is in the hundredths. 41 and 100 have no common factors, so this is in lowest form. And just one more. We have 7 and 2/10, so the 7 is the whole number. The 2 over its place value, which is the tenths. This does reduce if you divide those both by 2. You get 7 and 1/5 as the final reduced answer.